Didn't make any difference. See, in my business, you soon find out that anybody's capable of anything. If you can think of it, they've done it.
Doesn't leave you much to believe in.
Yeah, but think of the upside. At least it doesn't leave you too much to be disappointed in either. Believe me, the sooner we're off the planet, the better.
Now you sound like Cain.
No, not me. You're the Cane lover.
I just like being scared. Cain's work scares me.
What's to be scared about? It's not like it's real or anything.
Well, it's not real from your point of view, and right now reality shares your point of view. What scares me about Cain's work is what might happen if reality shared his point of view.
Whoa, we're not talking about reality here. We're talking about fiction. It's different, you know?
A reality is just what we tell each other it is. Sane and insane could easily switch places if the insane were to become the majority. You would find yourself locked in a padded cell, wondering what happened to the world.
No, and it wouldn't happen to me.
Oh, it would if you realized everything you ever knew was gone. I'd be pretty lonely being the last one left.
You've landed on The Substance. I'm your host, Philip Marinell, and I'm real happy to have you here. Whether it's your first time, your 189th time, or somewhere in between, glad to have you here. We got a great show for you here today. Here at The Substance, we're looking to have conversations that help us all better appreciate goodness, truth, and beauty. Previous guests include folks like Film Spotting's Josh Larson, Marta Georgievich, YouTube's Elliot Cohen, actor-director John Carroll Lynch, Dan McCoy of the Flophouse podcast, and our pals over at Letterboxd, Slim and Mitchell. This week, very happy to welcome first-time guest to the show, Derrick from the simi.views channel, simi.views, simi.views, depending on the platform you're on. Derrick's somebody whose content I've seen pop up several times recently. He's interacted with a number of folks that I know, and just seems to be an all-around guy who really appreciates the medium of film. He's a big physical media guy. I really love seeing some of his hauls and some of his takes and things like that. So when I saw that he had logged John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, and that was on my list, I was like, oh man, that's perfect. We've got the new 4K out from Arrow that I hear incredible things about. It's spooky season. He's somebody that I've had on my list that I want to reach out to at some point. So it was a perfect string of events. If you're listening to this right when this drops, you'll see like we are a little bit out of sync. So we're catching up. Hope you guys enjoyed a couple days ago the episode with Dale from Bat and Spider on George Romero's The Amusement Park. It's a lot less fun than In the Mouth of Madness, but that was a wonderful movie, a really great episode. So we're doing back to back to kind of catch up. There's one more that I might be dropping, but it won't be like in a couple of days. So we might jump back on or do a feed drop to kind of catch up, but wanted to get this one out as close to spooky season as we could. If you're listening to the show and not following us on whatever your podcast app of choice is, we see a lot of people listen who don't follow or subscribe to whatever your app calls it. There's no charge. Hit that follow button so that you can be alerted when new episodes drop. And this week, man, you got 2 in 2 days. So follow that show. It helps more people find the show. And if you're not operating motor vehicle right now or in the middle of something you can't stop, we'd say, hey, if you appreciate us and want to help, open up whatever app you're listening to this on, hit the 5-star button. If you're listening on Apple, please write a sentence or two about what you like about the show, and it helps more people discover the show. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Derrick on John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. So you do a lot. Is it primarily Instagram where you make your stuff?
Primarily TikTok and Instagram. I'm actually a little bit bigger on TikTok, but
sure, a lot of people are. I'm not on TikTok myself.
I gotcha.
I was on TikTok immediately when they're like, this will be the next big thing. So I was on it to check it out, and I'm like, I think this might not be for me. But like, I get the people. It's such a catch-22, I feel like, in our modern media landscape. Like, you want to be where the audience is, but you're like, man, I feel like unless you're making like 2, 3, 4, 5-minute TikToks, it's kind of not a very healthy platform. Like for our brains, like the 10 and 20 second stuff is not really good for us,
Right.
but that's where so much of the audience is, and it's like, how
And
much
that's
do you
what
want to cater, and how much do you want to help kind of like lead the charge of like making something thoughtful rather than just like attention catching and time sucking.
exactly. It is those my videos that do the best are the shortest videos. So I've had to maybe even shorten content that is a minute long, 2 minutes long, which does well on Instagram, but on TikTok, I'm condensing it to make it, like you said, those snippets
Yeah,
of this is my this is everything you need to know. And it's almost I call it a rage bait economy. And so
totally.
what works the best is something that is going to catch the viewer and incite some type of anger or rage in them for them to stick along. And a lot of my things are normally this rage bait kind of caption at the beginning. And then I go into it and it's just a very normal thing. But if I did something else, they're just going to scroll. No one's going to
Yeah, no, it
stay. No one's going to
sucks. We
listen.
live in quite a broken world, but we're doing our best.
Right. Exactly.
So how long you been making film content? I know I've seen your stuff more in my feed for a while, and either you've done stuff with friends of mine or I've seen friends of mine share or like or repost some of your stuff. So I was like, oh, he's a guy that's been on my radar more lately. I should reach out. And then you logged In the Mouth of Madness, and I was like, there's the new 4K. We
Yes.
haven't covered Carpenter in a while. It's spooky season. That's a perfect fit.
Yeah. So I've actually started really taking it seriously in March. So March was when I really was like, I'm going to be consistent every day trying to post content. But I started this page specifically on Instagram. It was a movie burner account. And so I had a lot of
Nice.
people that were like, you go to the movies all the time. I would post it on my personal Instagram. And then I was like, I want to kind of diverge and maybe get some thoughts out on that. And so it was always burner. I never had actually face content. It was just a quick review of a movie. And then I was like getting more confident. I was like, okay, I can talk into the camera. I can speak about these things. And so March is when it really started kicking off and been consistent ever since, just collaborating with different people and gotten some great opportunities from it.
Nice. And I mean, it's such a weird. I was talking with I don't know if you know Clark Collis, our most recent like full episode that we published, like we're recording in weird orders. He was a longtime senior editor for Entertainment Weekly back when that was like primarily a physical magazine. And like back then I remember like knowing the names of people who wrote in publications who made a living being like film critics, like whether it was a
Right.
newspaper or a monthly or a weekly magazine or locally, like, and now like it's pretty hard to make an actual living doing that. So I love like making connections and learning and supporting peers. Like we're kind of like I know a lot of people's names who are into
Right.
movies, but like if you ask some guy or gal off the street, like, hey, name a movie critic that's alive. Like I don't know if they would be able to like
Right.
they would 20, 30 years ago. So I think like we're kind of the next
Wave.
iteration
Yeah.
of that in some way. So it's been a lot of fun to meet with various types of creators in the space. And I love, I mean, we both like this is my overflow stack behind me.
Yeah.
I don't have like I want to start getting into video, probably longer form, maybe figure out ways to chop it up for the youth. But like I want to get into that. But I don't have a great space. And I know myself, I know they're just like, oh, just start bad and iterate. And like I want to, but
Right.
also I know people who may or may not have interesting insights, but when I pull up their video and it looks like they're in like a grungy corner of their basement, I don't really watch those videos.
Right.
So I need to like create some sort of nook in my home that like is somewhat photogenic for that type of content.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that was I struggled with at the beginning because I was trying to do a green screen, but it didn't feel natural for me. And
Yeah, I don't want to do
I got
that.
this bookcase
It's
behind
more work
me.
too.
Yeah, yeah. And once I really figured out this is where I'm going to start filming, and this is the backdrop for those things, it's really helped, like you said, catch the eye and just have a more consistent presence with the people that I'm talking with.
Or if you're like, okay, I'm going to go to my desk or my corner and shoot. And then you can put up different stuff depending on what your theme or your video is or whatever. Is that the new pusher set?
It is Second Sight Pusher Set, which
It's really good.
I
That looks
found.
amazing. I haven't seen those movies in, I don't know, 15 years or more, but that set looked real nice.
No, it is, and I actually found it at a local video store. I was browsing, I sometimes with the overseas physical media sets, I
Sure.
struggle because I'm like, shipping and who
Because they're
knows.
already expensive.
They're already expensive, and
And
I
then
was like,
regular shipping, and then if you're doing it from certain, like, Australia's nice because if it's like 50 Australian dollars, it's like 35 American dollars. But if you're going like pounds, you're like, oh, I gotta add like
yeah.
if you're going like Radiance or Second Sight, you're adding a bunch more, and then the shipping, and then but like it can get up there pretty high.
Exactly. So finding it locally was I really was like, I was not expecting to buy it, but when you find it, you just have to grab it. So and it's a great set. It looks great. I haven't gotten to see actually haven't seen the third one, but I've seen the first two. So I was like, this is also perfect to finish up. Maybe even a rewatch of them.
Yeah, when that came out, I'm like, I don't know if I've seen the third one either. I know I've seen the first two, and I may have seen the third one. It was so long ago. They were either on like Netflix or Prime, like when those services first started.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and I've interesting relationship with Refn. He's definitely one of those guys who is is a mixed bag
Right.
personally, but when his style hits, like his movies are really thrilling.
I agree.
Okay, so let's get into just straight up like background John Carpenter. I saw that this was a first watch for you, and I saw recently you also did a first watch of They Live. So tell me
Yes.
about your relationship, if it had existed previously with John Carpenter, and kind of where you are now.
Yeah. So John Carpenter was someone that I love The Thing. The Thing is my favorite horror film of all time, but it never dawned on me to really check out some of his other films. I've seen Halloween before. I've seen Assault
Yeah, The
on
Thing and
Precinct.
Halloween are like two of the biggest movies in the horror space, period.
Right. And so just for me, I feel like it was a big blind spot, especially during the horror season, to be like, I like horror. I love The Thing, but I've not seen some of his other films. So, In the Mouth of Madness was a film that someone had recommended to me, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna check it out, kind of hesitantly, and I really did fall in love with it. I mean, you probably saw my log and maybe my letterbox review on it, but it was a movie that really caught my attention and the way well, I know we'll dive into it, but it really worked for me in a lot of ways. And then speaking of They Live as well, it was another film that I don't know why I go into it hesitantly. I've seen some people not love Carpenter as much. He kind of has some mixed reviews even now, even though some of these are more revered. And I went into it, same thing. And I think the reason is for his films, he really builds them up. They're not a film that right out of the gate might catch your attention. And I think In the Mouth of Madness has sort of a kind of eye catching, like, what is the story going to be about? But I remember watching The Thing and it's a build up, watching They Live and it's a build up. And uh, as you go into those movies, I sort of get sucked into the worlds that John Carpenter is building. And so I really love his filmmaking style, and it's very distinct. But
Very much so.
I love it. I do love it, and I love his compositions, his scores. So I've grown to love his films more and more, even though I'm a new Carpenter fan. I would say, but I would
That's
say,
great. Welcome. Yeah,
yeah,
if you're not in genre spaces, like in genre spaces, he's one of the goats. But if you're just in the general film world, there can definitely be e- some actual snobbery or just overlooking because in my view, he's one of my favorite filmmakers, but he's very much an A director who just made B movies. So like the science fictions, the horrors, the thrillers, the exploitations, like he wasn't the first to make a slasher movie, but Halloween like was the seed of the modern slasher. Like yes,
yes,
there's Black Christmas, yes, there was Peeping Tom and various other things, but like Halloween, like the American 80s slasher and beyond, that all came from Halloween actually, like in
yes,
time basically. So he's kind of that guy. Like Halloween gave him a career. He tried to do other things. And honestly, this movie, In the Mouth of Madness, that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, like it's one of my favorite movies to show people
mm,
who like are somewhat familiar with him. And actually there are so many. You mentioned They Live. They Live's incredible and it for better and worse, I guess, gets more and more relevant, I feel
yeah,
like,
yes. When I
as
watched
things
that
go
film,
on.
yeah,
just like really kind of all of his stuff. This movie too, especially specifically some of the lines stuck out in 2025 going, oof, like man, this guy was a prophet, I guess.
Right.
Um, but yeah, he was such a wonderful filmmaker. And like, this is what cinema is. He's such a master of the medium. And yeah, he didn't have to make a serious drama. But have you
Yes.
seen Starman yet?
I have not seen Starman yet.
Starman and In the Mouth of Madness are probably two of my favorites to show people as surprises. Because I mean, In the Mouth of Madness is very much a horror, but it's very meta and it does a lot of things that people don't expect. And Starman is probably not probably. I think it's far and away his most like tender, touching movie. Like he
Okay.
calls that his romantic movie. Do
Yeah.
you know
Well,
anything about it?
no, I don't know anything about it, but when
Okay.
I was listening to some interviews with Carpenter and uh listening to some of his influences, and he was loved westerns and didn't
Yeah.
think that he would get into horror.
75% of his movies, if you boil them down, are basically westerns.
Yes. And he was talking about, I believe it was John, he was talking about John Ford and Howard
Mhm.
Hawks, some of his favorite filmmakers, and he was talking about a John Ford movie that he talked about how there was a lot of sentimental value to this film that he didn't love per se. I think there was something about his filmmaking style that he was revisiting, and I was like thinking about his filmmaking, and a lot of his films don't have that. Not saying they don't have care and love to them, but a lot of his films feel a little bit more not on the nose, but straightforward in that way, and
Oh,
don't have the
yes.
sentimental
He's not a
vibe to it.
subtle guy.
Yes,
He's not
but
about subtext.
But I think Starman, from what you're saying, might be something that has a little bit more of a sentimental feel to it, something a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah, we'll hopefully be covering it soon, actually. I've had a guest, this is a side tangent here, we should get back soon, but one of my favorite Letterboxd logs ever was a writer friend of mine. He wrote this really beautiful, like, it's pretty long, piece on Starman when he watched it with his mom, and it's just a knockout Letterboxd review in and of itself. But yeah, no, Starman is like a science fiction romance that is
Okay.
kind of unlike anything else that Carpenter did, and it's amazing performances. It's very genre-y, but it's touching in a way that because Carpenter's usually action, be thrilling, be exciting, get in and out in under 100 minutes. And
Yes.
Starman's like a little bit more meaty.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to check out Starman. I'm going to be watching a lot of his filmography even after
Can't
Halloween's.
wait. So yeah, for a long time, and I have the Blu-ray on my shelf. The only thing of his I haven't seen, and I don't know if it counts, is the Elvis movie. He's one of the few guys that I've seen everything for, and
Okay.
honestly, other than The Ward, everything is good to excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
The Ward, I think, is his only stinker. So watch The Ward early. Don't save The Ward for your last one because it's like
Watch
actually
that.
bad.
Okay.
That's the only one of his that I'd say is actually bad. Even like Memoirs of an Invisible Man is kind of fun. I kind of hate vampires, but like there's great action in it. But like The Ward is his only actual stinker, in my
Stinker.
opinion.
Okay. So I'll guess I'll watch that early just to get
Yeah, just
get
get it
through
out the
it.
way
Yeah.
because you don't want to be like, okay. And as of now, and probably actually, but as of now, The Ward is his final like feature film, and that's kind of a bummer. They
Yeah.
keep it has been teased many times that they're gonna reteam and do Escape from Earth, which would be incredible, but
Yeah.
I do not see that happening. I would love it. I would
Yeah.
love
I
it,
mean,
but
he's been active. I actually was on scrolling on social media, and he
Kurt
was.
wants to do it, or Kurt
Yeah.
has said he wants to do it, but I think John Carpenter is very happy smoking weed and
Yeah.
doing concerts and playing video games.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw a concert video of him, and I'm like, he's
Yeah, some
70 and
friends of
living
mine
it
were
up.
just in LA.
Yeah.
Past guests of the show, Joe Lynch, and some friends of mine were just at his concert the other day.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll get another film
I would
from
love
him.
that.
Yep.
Okay, so In the Mouth of Madness, you wanna? I mean, it doesn't have to be like a Letterboxd or IMDb. You want to give a little synopsis since it's fresh in your mind?
Yeah. So it's the basic synopsis is John Trent, played by Sam Neill, who's a cynical, skeptical insurance investigator, and so he's hired to track down a missing horror novelist called Sutter Cane, who's loosely based off of, a Stephen King type of character. And so his books specifically drive readers insane when they read them. And so Trent discovers clues in Kane's novels to kind of form a map leading to this fictional town called Hobbs End, and turns out to be a real place. And so Trent dives deeper and deeper and kind of unravels this mystery about this fictional character and realizes that this fictional place is not fictional and it's a real life place. And so you're kind of descending into this I would say mouth of madness, but you're descending more and further into madness as you're following Sam Neill, who's very skeptical, start to realize what is true and what is not true.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah, absolutely. I love when like meta movies can get exhausting, but I love it when a meta movie is just done with thought and care. And I'd forgotten, I guess, the script for this had been written for a long time. So like this was one of the, I wouldn't say like all super rare, but Carpenter I feel like usually has a pretty strong hand in generating his own stuff. But it was a kid, I think it was written by a really really young guy
written
who
by Michael DeLuca.
who has a questionable
Yes.
Wikipedia page, but has had this hand in some great stuff. He just wrote this knockout script, and he wanted John Carpenter to do it. Carpenter went back and forth, did some other stuff, but eventually came back to it. I think after Invisible Man, because that was just a train wreck, a very interesting train wreck. But after he goes, okay, yeah, let's do that Lovecraft Stephen King movie.
Yes.
And it's just a perfect fit of director and content. And man, Sam Neill, he is somebody who like I actually do think of highly, but not somebody who, if you're like, who are some of your favorite actors? Like he would never be somebody that I would say. And maybe it was just back in the day he had such a good deal with Jurassic Park, and then he only did stuff he wanted to do. But like I don't think of Sam Neill as like a prolific actor.
Right.
But in just about everything I've seen him in, he's got the goods.
He is. I mean, thinking about him in Event Horizon as well, and some of his roles.
Going nuts movie.
Yeah. It like you said, when I think of genre and horror, I don't normally think of Sam Neill just because Jurassic Park is so iconic with him. But this one was a very fun one to just see him be. Like he still kind of plays a straight shooter to a degree, but also has some like comedic elements to him. He has some charisma to this that I really enjoyed him in this film.
Yeah, no, and it's nice to have with a setup that gets really nuts, to have your main character being a skeptic in the entertainment world. Like John Carpenter likes to do stuff like that, and I love it.
Right.
Like dealing like a horror, like one of the masters of horror, especially at that time. This was later in his career, a master of horror dealing with a story about like, oh, this horror guy stuff makes people go nuts. Like that is so like salacious and campy and wonderful. You can see why maybe widely like the film critics and the people who show up for like the award stuff, like what is this movie? What is this? Ebert, who had a very like on and off thing with Carpenter, he's like, yeah, this is trash.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like I mainly disagree with Ebert when it comes to genre stuff. I mean, nobody's perfect, but it seems like, particularly with some of the hyper, he loved Halloween, but with a lot of the genre stuff, he's just like, this is cheesy. And it's like, well, sort of. It's done. So did you get to watch this on the new Arrow 4K?
I did not yet. I watched it on the Criterion channel.
Oh, nice. See, Criterion channel, sponsor the show. We love you. I've had the old Shout Factory, Scream Factory Blu-ray for a while, and for years actually. And I watched it on that. I haven't got the 4K yet. And I'm like you, a big proponent of physical media, but just with convenience in life, I do end up streaming a lot. Right. But sometimes for the show, if I own it, I'll get the disc and I play it. It's like, this is just a Blu-ray. I don't even have the new 4K. The Blu-ray looked incredible on my TV, like way better than streaming. I'm always like, Blu-rays, physical media, it's better than streaming. But it's just easier to do. but I popped in the Blu-ray and I was like, oh, this looks so. I can't imagine how good the new 4K looks because everybody says it's amazing, but the old Scream Factory Blu-ray is incredible.
It looks good. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the first pickups I'm gonna get here shortly. I went a little bit crazy with the Criterion sale that just happened,
Oh,
and
the flash sale? What'd you
the
end up
flash
getting?
sale. A lot of movies. I honestly,
A
Secret
lot of blind buys?
Sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee Chang Dong, A Matter of Life and Death, Pressburger
Nice.
Powell, Pierre Itox, box set, and a couple others that
That
I
set
was.
looks great. I entered a couple of different contests to win that one. I don't have that one. I have gone so hard on so many sales. Like, I think for the big, like the month-long Criterion, I know I'm going to get the new Kiarostami Eclipse set. But other than that, like maybe I'll get one or two. I still don't have No Country. And that Sammo Hung movie I kind of wanted, but like I've been picking up so many things
Yeah.
lately. I need to chill out a little bit. But anyway, back to the movie. He is hired to go find it, and he's so suspicious. Like he's even
Yes.
suspicious of the people hiring him. Like he is not. His character is so strongly established as like not a guy who buys into the hype at all. Because even the people who hired him, they're like, we think this guy is messing around. He owes us. Like the conversation, like he's even suspicious of the people hiring him to go find Sutter Cane to turn in this latest manuscript for In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, he's skeptical of everybody and everything, and I think that's what really makes it work in a lot of ways. As a, he's an insurance investigator, and so I think they established that very early on in those early scenes with that, like the first scenes with the flashback is him going through an insurance investigation, and he just doesn't believe anybody. And I love getting to see his slow descend into just finding bits and pieces of what reality is. And it's such a fine line that Carpenter walks the entire movie. Because I was on that first watch, I was like, is this real? Is this not real? The second watch, I was still even second guessing, but you can really see how he drops lots of pins and moments that
Totally.
you can catch and be like, oh, if I would have caught that early, I could seen that this is what he's really trying to say. And a lot.
We haven't mentioned this yet, actually. A lot of people like poo-poo on this genre facet, but I actually kind of like it. It can be done poorly, and I completely agree. Like when it stinks and is just a device, I don't like it. But this movie does kind of start at the end with
Yes.
Sam Neill's character having gone insane in an asylum, face and body covered in like makeshift crosses in his whole like padded room. He's drawn up little crosses everywhere.
Yes.
Like, and that's just kind of a visual thing. Like he's already a sketch. Like, I don't know what that's actually,
Right.
what in his mind that's actually going to be protecting him from based on his experiences we see in the movie and his whole vibe in general. But
Right.
it's a very stark and strong visual image, which is great in the advertising. You see it on a lot of the box set. Yeah, you just see him covered in crosses, and it's just a very strong image. And then we cut to how did we get here? And it's him being hired. And then after that, I've seen this movie a number of times, and one of them one of my favorite theatrical experiences I've ever had was getting to see the Apocalypse trilogy at my local theater with The Thing, Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness, all back to back.
Right.
It was just an incredible night at the movies. But that attack with the axe in the diner, this guy who supposedly has gone like Sutter Cane crazy attacks him with an axe, and then we learn that that was his previous agent.
Right. That was, I mean, that moment is kind of become a meme at some points. Do you read Sutter Cane?
Oh,
The
totally. Yeah, that's
double
kind of shorthand. The
irises.
"Do you read Sutter Cane" is shorthand for, hey, In the Mouth of Madness is a pretty great movie, right?
Right. And but I really love that shot. Really love the I mean, it's kind of a long shot where he's coming from the back of across the street into the diner where they're coming from, using the axe, and just the way that Carpenter shot that entire scene really does elicit a lot of tension early on that I was like, okay, now we're getting into what this movie is about. I feel like from there it's a straightforward kind of mystery
Like
detective, but that is a switch that
I was
turns it
kind
on.
of clocking it specifically this time, just how efficient he is as a filmmaker with time. Like that attack happened like 10, 15 minutes in. Just the amount of ground he covers, like every 10 minutes, I would just kind of look at the time and be like, he is just going. And the movie doesn't feel like the movie feels like it's a 2 hour movie,
Yeah.
but it's like a tight 90 minutes and not feels like a 2 hour movie in a bad way. Like it feels that full. Like the journey from like we see like the flash forward, like he's crazy in an asylum, how he gets there, getting commission to go find this, eventually getting to Hobbs End, investigating, Hobbs End getting crazy, all that happening, then him going back to that, and then the end. Like it feels like such a full journey in just 90 minutes.
Yeah, when people talk about pacing and how to utilize pacing well, I feel like he is, I mean, one of the best. Like you said, most of his films are about 90-ish minutes, and
Yeah.
this one just works in getting the point across. And even though he's exploring a lot of different themes and a lot, he's like you said, covering so much, it all kind of works for
And
me.
like the device with the alley, he has enough time to do that like 2 or 3 times, where you see the cop beating up the guy in the alley and then it changing just a little bit, and then you see that a few times, and then at the end, they bring that up again. Like he makes time. He has enough real estate for all of that, in this movie. It's just nuts.
Yeah, and for it to not feel like a drag is special.
So, another one of the big scenes that I remember from the first time that stuck out, one of the most impressive ones was the actual crossing over from whatever the real world is to the Hobbs End world when they're on that late night road trip.
Yes.
Like, what a while. And ILM worked on this movie, but
Okay.
just even in your home on your TV, hopefully not on like your phone, but even on your TV, like you don't have to be in a movie theater for that to be a thrilling scene. They're driving late at night, things kind of shift, and then they're like floating in the air, and then they cross into the bridge. Like that's that probably was actually done very simply, but it's so effective.
Yeah, I love it. Was a very dreamlike Lynch sequence, kind of Lost
Very
Highway
much.
uh, vibe to it, and I really enjoyed seeing the even the biker, the little
Yeah.
kid who's on
Who
the
we'll see
bike,
many
and
times.
yeah, and you just see him starting off as a little kid. The makeup when the kid is
Yeah.
older is a little sketchy, but
But it is
uh,
unsettling.
yes, I think hit like when you at first I was like the makeup's bad, but you hear this old man face makeup with a little kid voice coming out, and I was like, "Okay,
It's creepy.
that's creepy." And I just love that. I mean, you still see the semblances of Carpenter's practical effects and just wanting to stick with that. And I think that what makes it work a lot more is him sticking with the practicals.
Totally, and I specifically paused it once they crossed over into Hobbs End and looked at it. There's only an hour left in the film after they get to Hobbs End. Like, second one in Hobbs End, there's, like, an hour left with credits. So you're like I was just marveling this time in particular at just how incredibly not just efficient, but just how masterful he was at packing every scene because so much happens. There's the kids, and the kids come into play several times.
Yeah.
There's enough time for them to see them the first time when we don't get a good view of them. We just think they're normal kids. And then later with when Sutter Cane comes out with the dogs, and then at
Yes.
the end with the mob, like there's there's just so much in this to love. I've always, from the first time I saw this movie, this was not so for me. I'm gonna start like three thoughts here at once. I'm gonna reset. Growing up, I was a big John Carpenter fan. With The Thing, I saw a lot. They Live, I saw as a young person. The two Escape movies I loved. The Fog I loved. Halloween I loved. Halloween terrified me. I saw that way too young. Um, but In the Mouth of Madness was just not one that's definitely one of his more peripheral ones. That's for,
Right.
like, when you're committing to, "I wanna get into John Carpenter."
Right.
So, I think I saw that for the first time in 2020 during COVID. I was like, "I'm gonna knock out a bunch of blind spots and maybe complete some filmographies or whatever." And it was just such a delight. This and Prince of Darkness, like, have you seen that one yet?
I haven't yet. I was trying to get to it because I know it's part of the trilogy, and I wanted to get.
And that's
I
that's
know they're loose.
thematic.
Yeah.
And also if you want to go the extra mile, his Showtime Masters of Horror 1 hour. It's 60 minutes, so I don't know if you call it a short film or I don't know what you want to call it, but his first Masters of Horror entry, Cigarette Burns, is also kind of in that as well. It's kind of like the unofficial fourth Apocalypse entry
Okay.
about a a man tracking down a cursed film print that has terrible implications when it's played.
I kind of like that.
It's really cool. Honestly, I think Cigarette Burns is definitely better, but I think both of his Masters of Horror shorts are actually really good, and they're both 60 minutes anyway. I bet he could have thoughtfully added another 30 minutes and made them both
The
features, and I kinda wish he
features.
would have. They would have been like, if Cigarette Burns or Pro-Life, which is about a woman carrying a demon baby, if either one of those were his last actual film instead of The Ward, I'd be
That would
like,
be
make Escape from Earth a comic book. We don't need it, but since we have the Ward, I'm still I would still love for him to make something else.
yeah, to rehash some of those ideas. I feel like that's the tough part when you're a filmmaker going at it for that long. You're bound to make a few stinkers here and there. But I would love I would really do want to check out those Masters of Horrors.
Yeah, they're fun. And there's so many that I haven't seen still. Um, what else was really I don't want to get to the end just yet. How about that painting? Every time I see that on like a real screen, that's always a very effective like paintings that change. It's such a simple device. It's used in many movies, but I think it's usually a pretty effective one.
Yeah, I think that motif was. I think for me, it was a little bit like, okay, I kind of get this. I get what you're going for. That's maybe the one thing in the movie that I'm like, all right, I don't normally love those types of devices, but it was still, like you're saying, it was effective because there was so much else that was happening that
Well,
I
and the
was still
things that
drawn
are
into.
happening in the painting, like it is about reality changing and morphing. And at first it's just like them walking and she's like, "Oh, like our bodies are doing different things." And at one point, like, I am now looking at myself like dead eye in this painting, and that wasn't there
Right.
before. But then as kind of things get a little bit more Lovecraftian, who I'm not, I have I think I've maybe browsed or skimmed some of his short works. I'm not a Lovecraft guy at all, but through pop culture, I've kinda gotten the gist, and
Yeah.
I feel like for me, that's a much more enjoyable Lovecraft experience based on what I've heard about the guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of people say some of the best Lovecraft or Lovecraftian things are actually not from Lovecraft himself. When
Fantastic.
people were talking about this movie, they were saying the same thing. But what did you? I was curious about the specific scene where we're talking. Not. I mean, they come back multiple times, but the innkeeper, the
Yeah.
lady and her husband. I was very curious about what you thought about that, if you felt like they had something, was that just thrown in there at times, or what
So,
are your
the
thoughts on that?
first scene, if I recall 'cause I only watched this, a few days ago. The first time we see her, it's clear that, like, somebody else is behind the counter in some way, the way she's engaging, and it's just odd. Like, it's
Right,
just another odd thing, and that's, like, his second stop after I believe, like, he looked in the store window and he looked at what he thought were a bunch of school kids playing.
right.
Then I think they go right to the inn, and it's just weird because like, there's the picture changing, they're checking in, like, kind of a lot's happening. You don't get to really lock in on it, and not much is made of it at the beginning, but you're like, "This old lady's weird, like, something's off with her," and then when it is fully revealed towards the end that, like, she's got this, like, naked old man chained to her, and she's,
Right,
like, abusing him, like,
right.
it's not like a, "Oh, that's terrifying" jump scare. It's just very unsettling. It's like,
Yes.
"That shouldn't be." Like, it's just so off and odd.
Yeah,
It just kinda it felt like it fit the mood.
yeah, it felt, I mean, it fit the mood, especially of Hobbs End and just this fictional or real place, depending on, how you talk about it. But this town that is just everything in it is off,
It's
and
twisted.
it's twisted. Yeah.
It
And I
feels like
mean,
something in a Stephen King book.
yes, yes. It just, the writing in that, and, being Sutter Cane is very loosely based off of Stephen King. It just felt like it fit that vibe.
Well, and then after the first time they go to the church, which So Sam Neill goes with his female counterpart from the publishing. They're like, she needs to get it back. She needs to go with you. Or so we think at the
Yeah.
beginning. Um, she's like, he was saying, okay, I've read a bunch of his old books. Like, some of this is real, but some of this hasn't happened. She's like, no, this stuff with you is in the new book. Like, you are living out the new book. And they're starting to plant seeds of like, is this real or is he living out? Is like Sutter Cane this omnipotent, uh, dark godlike figure who is creating reality that Sam Neill has now become a part of. He wasn't before, but when he entered Hobbs End, the domain of Sutter Cane, he is now a Sutter Cane character, and that's it's so good.
Yeah, that first, I mean, when you first reveal of, I think it's Jurgen Prochnow,
Oh yeah,
of Sutter Cane, that first reveal of him, I mean, the doors opening, seeing him the reveal was really awesome, but,
very
uh
cinematic.
yeah, definitely. But, just he was very eerie, but also just the calmness about him as Sutter Cane, as he was just talking, like, just very like you said, godlike, and, his presence was, like, gentle but strong at the same time. I really liked his performance, in this film.
Well, that's what a lot of writers and directors, I guess, can fancy themselves anyway, as like we are the creators in our domains, and that's Sutter Cane is like that to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But then when they go back towards like what feels like the end of the movie, but there's still a bit left when they go back to the church where he's like writing, and you get to actually see those kids. Like the makeup is so good. I know
Yeah.
Carpenter, I think behind the scenes he was complaining that he didn't get more of a budget for CG, but man, I'm of the mind you only use CG when you absolutely have to. Those kids were real creepy with that makeup effects.
Yeah, I mean, him saying he doesn't have a lot of budget, I mean, he does the most with a little. I mean, most of his budgets, most of all of his films were not made with a lot of money, but he always continued to, like, push the boundaries still of, I'm gonna use these practical effects, and they really were eerie when they first came out. And even, I don't wanna jump to the end, but even the scene in kind of the tunnel area, and you kinda have the, you
Okay,
know
well, how about when Samuel goes back and sees like the true form of the old lady, like that
Yes,
crazy Lovecraftian monster? She's hacking herself with the axe.
yes.
It's
It
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, and he's just so effective at, uh, making them feel like they could live like you were saying, live in reality. Like, this is a monster that could exist and could terrify you. Like, I was like, with that old lady, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think I'm this could pop out at any moment from an old
Totally.
lady that I see around the street corner."
And another, it's so simple. It doesn't cost anything, but the device, and it can be used poorly, but I thought it was done so well here. The device of, yeah, I feel like X Files use it. A lot of TV shows use it because it's free basically, where characters are trying to get away from a situation and they can't. They just end up looping back to where they were. Cause like that's a nightmare. That's
Yeah.
like you're trying to run away and you cannot. Sam Neill's like, all right, F it. I'm going to get in my car and drive out of this town. And he cannot. Every time he goes and crosses a certain point, he's back at the center of town. There's this angry mob of like mutant looking people with torches. And at one point, the gal who he goes with looks like she's being held hostage. Like it's it's not even as unsettling. Like it makes you feel powerless. It's
Yes.
just so frustrating because you're like, he could drive away 100 times and he's gonna pop back to the center of town.
Yeah, it felt like it's a dream sequence almost to a degree, but
Yeah.
it's like a sleep, when you're in a sleep terror and you're just sitting there and everything is happening around you and you feel like you can't do anything about it. That's how it felt. And like you said, Twilight Zone-esque, where it's like, I cannot escape this fine line of, is this reality or is this a dream or is this a nightmare? And I am now the center of this nightmare that is starting
Yeah, because
to start
eventually
to
he
take
was an
hold.
outsider coming into it, but eventually he becomes the focal point of all of this insanity. Another very amazing practical effect, I almost forgot about this, is on one of his drives where he's trying to get away and can't, the like exorcist monster that the woman turns into. She's like upside down, but her head's also upside
Yes.
down. She's like crab walking, but like you can see her face head on. That's and I'm sure that was like made a mold of her face and stuck it on, but like
Yeah.
it's such a good effect.
Yeah, the it's so funny seeing. I mean, watching this again. That first, like, just the first half, and like you said, you hit going into Hobbs End, and everything beyond Hobbs End is just like. I think I love this idea that once you enter into this new fictional or now reality, everything just starts to slowly unravel. And it starts to slowly unravel for Sam Neill's character. But I even thinking about his companion, Julie Carmen, who's Linda Stiles, just seeing her, like she completely goes mad. Like she completely actually descends into the madness herself. But seeing how the skeptic is the one that at the end of it, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spoil like
Well, no,
everything
like
about
we
it.
can get there.
Yeah,
So the lead up to the next section is the only real CGI in the movie that I think Carpenter used so effectively. It looked great on Blu-ray. It was amazing on the big screen where Sutter Cane, the author, the dark deity in the story, like rips himself open CG wise, and like a paper like paperback text is on the other side.
right.
So you're like, oh, like they're going from the book world to the real world, which was, we remember at the beginning, they're worried that this Sutter Cane madness, like people who read these books will go mad and these mass killings and all these things. Then Sutter Cane's like, hey, you're going mad. This is crazy in here. Like, here's your way out to the real world.
Right.
And this is why it's part of the Apocalypse trilogy. Like, for Sam Neill to escape, he's going to be infecting the rest of the world with this
Right.
madness. But it's almost not even like a choice because he's like, this is crazy. I need to get out of here and take this cursed he tries to destroy the
Yeah.
manuscript
Yeah.
once he's in the real world, but he can't.
Right. He tries not to. I mean, he had a package waiting for him, and he tried to avoid, I would say, maybe his destiny. And even thinking about later in that when he's on the bus trip back home,
Love
when
that
he,
bus jump scare.
yeah, and he's having night sweats and having
When
this
everything
nightmare
turns
kind of.
blue, he's like, my favorite color
Yes.
is blue, and he wakes up. So
Yes.
good.
It was.
Also, just a blast from the past. I don't know how old you are, and this isn't even like exactly my area, but I remember the stuff on TV. Him burning the manuscript in that grungy hotel bathroom sink. That was just that felt like a throwback, like a blast from the past. And
Yeah.
I just love that little detail. Him in this grungy motel trying to burn a manuscript in the sink.
Yeah. No, it just felt very like I remember watching movies like that, and just motels. I love when they're a central part of film in general. Like there's just something about it.
Wait, like he kind of does have. He's not actually, but the insurance investigator. It's a little bit of a detective-y motif, like very kind of pulpy. But we were so in his passage to the real world is where we get some incredible practical effects that I think one of also the biggest strengths is they're these very grotesque creatures, and we also barely get to see them.
Right. They're kind of living off in the distance to a degree. Like they're like you're almost safe, but also it's hidden as well. And I think maybe I don't know if it was budget thing or if that's how he designed to shoot it, but it still worked for me to feel unsettled and find them very creepy
Oh,
and
totally. You
evil.
get little glimpses here and there, and like as they catch up to him, they just disappear and he's back in the real world. Eventually, I don't know if I realized this the first time, the little kid on the bike actually young Hayden Christensen in one of his first
Roles, yeah,
on-screen appearances, like welcoming him back to the real world,
yeah.
which
I
now
didn't even pick that
Sam
up.
Neill has doomed.
No, yeah, it was just such a the running like you're saying, motifs and running ideas that he would just bring back characters, and it still didn't feel long or feel like it didn't need to be added. It all coincided and worked.
And just Sam Neill going for it. The screaming on the bus, the paranoia, like when he goes into the publishing house, he is unwell. And they're like, "What are you talking about? Like, you turned in this manuscript weeks ago. Like, it's published. Like, they're making the movie." And he just absolutely loses it. I think we get another replay of the alleyway scene, and it's just very clear that he's back in the real world, but things are not good, and he is not well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love this performance from him. I mean, from the very beginning, you do see him mad, and I was like, okay, Sam Neill, you're really going for it. But at the end, once again, it's this slow like turning from a skeptic to a madman. How he kind of just slowly worked his way into that. It just felt so
When he
believable.
becomes when he becomes the axe wielding maniac at the people in line at the bookstore or whatever, that was just it's so simple, but yeah, that's why Carpenter's the master.
Yeah, he just knows how to slowly design these things to work at you. And even thinking about like The Thing, which is one of my favorites, you don't really get to see what the thing is, but like because it's just in the background and everything is happening and uh maybe off screen, you're just feeling a sense of dread. And so there's a sense of dread this entire movie that Carpenter just builds.
Well, and I think I wrote that in my own letterbox review. I really loved just the idea. So one of the things we do talk about here on this show is just like, why do these movies stick with us? Like, what is the substance of these movies? One of the ideas that is like central to this, that man, particularly after the last 10 years we've had, and especially this year, um, his female counterpart says, "Our reality is just what we tell each other it is. Sane and insane could easily switch places if the insane were to become the majority or in power. You'd find yourself locked in a padded cell, wondering what happened to the world." And that is not a terrible description
Yeah.
of the last 10 months we've had here, especially.
Yeah, no, that was actually wrote that down as well as being the quote, and I wrote that also in my letterbox review of just this I like the fine line between insanity and reality, and how we as people in today's society are trying to navigate what is readily acceptable and what we deem to be acceptable. It Every day I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what what this used to be,
Oh, yeah,
what
yeah,
considered to be
yeah.
insanity was maybe on the outskirts, and now it's actually becoming more of what is happening now. And so it's this idea that belief is infection, that what we believe is slowly infecting ideas, especially in the mouth of madness. That's what it
Yeah.
is. It's not real monsters, it's ideas that are the monsters.
Well, and yeah, there are ideas that come from a malicious figure who has fancied himself to be some sort of godlike being and just spreading his own madness. And I feel like we're living in that a little bit. And I feel like they live as well. Like all of these movies, when you come back to them, there's just so much there.
Yeah. He was, I mean, that's what I love about Carpenter. He's always been on, not even on the nose. That feels like not a great description, but always very strong in what he believes. And I think that's why earlier on you were saying everything that he does ages well, is because he was always strong in his uh anti capitalist, anti fascist messaging. And so
Yeah.
it really just hits a lot harder uh as
Boy,
we're,
oh boy.
living in that.
During the fall of the American Empire. Yep, 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 yep. Um, I also thought from the first time I saw it, like the ending is also been turned into a meme, unfortunately. But it's also a very apt one. The bold decision, and I mean, less so a little. I don't want to spoil anything. Like slightly less so in Prince of Darkness, but a la The Thing. I think even more so than The Thing. This is probably, I think, his bleakest ending. Like, there's some kind of dark hope, I think, actually, in laughing in the face of madness. But literally, Sam Neill is in the theater watching. There's a poster at the box office. John Carpenter's in the mouth of madness. Sam Neill buys a ticket, buys some popcorn, sits down to watch John Carpenter's in the mouth of madness. And some scenes flicker of stuff that we've seen him taking the job, him like the car going through the portal, going to Hobbs End, all the Hobbs End stuff, him going crazy, him getting the axe and killing the guy. Like, we see Sam Neill watching all this stuff, and his only response is like he starts to cry. Like, it seems like he starts to just have this like devastated like crying that turns into just kind of maniacal laughter, going, well, I guess the world's crazy, and
Yeah.
cut to black, the end. Like, he's like, oh no, like he's like mourning, like poor me, poor me. But then it just turns into like, isn't this kind of like a sick dark joke? The end.
Yeah. It it just was it felt like acceptance. Like he
Yes,
just was
exactly.
accepting his
And I
fate,
think there's power
accepting.
in that.
Yeah. And I don't know why this reminded me of the movie After Hours to a degree, but
Okay.
it just reminds me of as you kind of descend into like in After Hours
The
particularly,
hell
just
of
yeah,
70s New
like
York.
everything just continues to go awry. Everything just, but you have to laugh at that. You have to laugh at yourself as things. I think that's at least my what I go to is my go-to emotion at times is when things are happening and are crazy. I'm like, I just have to laugh at myself. I have to laugh at the situation. And maybe it's not a laughter that's grounded in true, I don't even know, say comedy, but it's almost comedic to think of your own life that way. And so I think that's what I was like, oh, Sam Neill is almost laughing at how did I end up here? But I have to accept that I ended up here because he's the central figure
Yeah,
this
just the
entire time.
absurdity of it.
Yeah, it's so absurd, but it's also reality, and we're living like he's living through that absurdity.
Yeah, no, I feel like one of his strongest movies, and an unfortunately potent movie in our times, I would say.
Yes, I agree.
I can't wait. Did Criterion didn't have any bonus features on this, did they?
No, I was really looking for some. I was gunning for some, so I just had to go on YouTube and there's like
There's some good stuff.
yeah, I was watching a lot of his interviews and there's a 7-minute one that he talked about in the Mouth of Madness in particular. But yeah, it just even one other motif or just theme idea was just like this, uh, like fear as a driver and a uh, for the madness that's occurring in the world at the end. It's like fear has been what has driven these people into madness, but also this entire movie seeing fear be what drives Sam Neill's character as well. Like he's fearful of everything, but he's skeptical. Like there's also that being a skeptic and also being fearful of what he
I
is
think they
perceiving
do
as
go
well was
hand in hand, because like his character was like smug, but he was not like a positive or a joy. Like, he didn't seem to have like joy. He seemed to have like an air of superiority, but it wasn't like, oh man, look at this like satisfied man living a full life. He's like, yeah, he's won. He seems to be financially well off, and he's busting people left and right, but it's not like, oh man, like I want that guy's life. Like, it didn't really feel that way at all.
no, I agree. I think just fear is still a driving force no matter the uh how you are as a person. You could be so well off, you could uh maybe not be as well off, but in this case Sam Neill uh was a fearful guy at the end of the day. And so I think that acceptance and everything that happened at the end felt very cathartic even for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's he's just sitting there covered in his crosses, crying and laughing into his popcorn at the absurdity of how the world fell apart, and just hard cut to black, some rock music. Like, you feel oddly good at the
Yeah.
end of it. Like, I didn't feel hopeless. I didn't feel like, ah, dang, like the world sucks. Like, I did not feel that. I don't know. I'm sure some viewers might, but I did not feel down at the end of that movie.
Yeah, no, it made me wanna go to the movies.
Let's
I think
go.
I was just like, I think that's what, I don't know if that's what Carpenter was saying, but to me, I was like, what can you do but just go to the movies and like go and have a good time, go have a laugh, and like yes, there's madness happening occurring everywhere else, but I know that's not the central theme at all. But for me, I was like, man, I kind of just want to go to the movies and enjoy.
No, I like that. I mean, I have 2 young children, young-ish children, and I don't get to go, like, all the time, but, like, whenever I do, it is and I know a lot of our listeners do, like, the theatrical experience is important. It's such a magical place, whether we're dealing with positive emotions or negative ones or somewhere in between, like, dealing with and even in, like, campy genre, like, contrivances, like, dealing with these heavy things through art, I think is something that is always valuable.
Yeah, I think cinema, you could look at it as being the, not the thing that people run for escape, but the thing that people run to in hard times. And I think that's why cinema is so important today, especially going to the theater and having that theatrical experience is so important. But I think
Yeah.
throughout time, thinking about the Great Depression and
Yeah.
all times that we experience in America and overseas, cinema has been such a amazing thing for people. And I was like, I want to go like and go watch a movie right now.
No, that's, I agree. I think that's a good note to transition to, like our main real segment of the show, substance shoutouts. What have you been we've been watching, reading, enjoying? You've been to the good any good movies lately or got any great physical media editions that you've got lately that you'd love to share with folks?
Yes. We'll have to think about it for a second.
Sure.
So I've been watching. So I've been getting into Carpenter, but I just have to pull it up because it's right next to me. But I have the Shinya Tsukamoto box set.
That is on my li
Um,
did you get the limited or the new one? Did you get the one with
this
the
was
big booklet?
no booklet in it. I wish I did,
Okay.
but I got
There's
this a
only 30 or
long.
40 bucks, right? On the
Yes, it was
sale?
$40. I got it
Kinda
last
want that.
year in the sale, and I only had watched, I think, Bullet Ballet and Tetsuo the Iron Man, and I've just been diving into his filmography. I watched Kotoko, which was fantastic. It's another kind of descent into madness of a woman who is basically in psychosis, and it kind of touches on postpartum and suicidal thoughts. And it was a very hard watch, but very good. And just this box set is incredible. The transfer for this on Arrow is really good. It really popped. So Shinya Tsukamoto is steadily becoming one of my favorites. I also love
I
Kiyoshi
really wanna
Kuros.
go through that set.
Yeah. It's really good. Tokyo Fist is another one that's now become one of my all-time favorites as well from him. And I've also been watching a lot of Kiyoshi Kurosawa. So Love Pulse is one of my favorite horror films of all time. Love Cure, but I just,
Cure is one of the darkest, bleakest movies I've ever seen.
yeah, the detective. I mean, it's. I watched
I
that.
mean,
I
if you
remember
think
watching
7
that.
is dark, like, 7 is it's a walk in the park compared to Cure, I feel like.
Yeah, I just remember watching Cure very late at night and
Oh,
being
boy.
completely like, I need to turn on a light in
I
the
watched it in
room
the
I was
middle of
watching
the
in.
day, and I was disturbed.
But I mean, I tell people, I know Alfred Hitchcock is the master of suspense, but for me, Kiyoshi Kurosawa is my master of suspense. He builds atmosphere like no other director for me specifically. Like I just watched Cloud, which is, it technically released in 2024, but I'm counting as 2025 release here in the States. But uh, it is my favorite, one of my favorite films of the year. Just is, he knows how to build a sense of dread almost existentially in me. And so I've been loving Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and Cloud as well is one of my favorites.
I can't wait to see Cloud. I'll do a couple of quick ones. Keep them horror since it's spooky season. This is like horror adjacent. I finally got. I genuinely thought I had missed out on it. This was like a fresh letterbox log from last night. I don't know if you saw it. The Cat. I got the special limited edition Blu-ray. I had it pre-ordered. I missed out on the pre-order, but I'm working with some people on a project, and their payment to me was this Blu-ray. It is a wild, wild movie. Forgive me if I get this guy's name wrong, but Lam Nai Choi, I believe. Nutso. This is only his second movie I saw. I also saw The Seventh Curse, but these movies are insane. Like Carpenter-esque in a way. Like they're very genre-y, but The Cat is about this goopy, many-formed, malicious alien trying to take over Earth, and this group of good aliens, one of them being in the form of an actual like cat, are trying to battle. And there's like a cat and dog choreographed martial arts fight, and that is just one of the many craziest things that happened in this movie. It was nuts. I got the Blu-ray. I don't know. The Blu-rays are selling out everywhere. I was so glad
Oh
I was
man,
able to
I
get a
was literally
copy.
about to Google and
See
try
if
to
you can.
find one
It
for
might be on
myself.
Orbit
Yeah.
or Diabolique. Like if there's still a couple left, I'd say get one. It's nuts. It was great. Um, and then I'm reading one of our local booksellers here in Kansas City, who was on the Panic Fest episode. Justin was raving about Breathe In, Bleed Out, and I'm almost done with it. Super fun, quick little read if you're into horror books. Really, like, it would actually make an amazing movie. Like pretty much everything is there for it to be a great film. And then I'll also say this is not the highest of recommendations, and I almost hate to like recommend on a curve, but if you're looking for something like simple and maybe not silly, but like low stakes, just throw on something fun in the spooky season. We love Tubi here on the show. I saw the Tubi original movie Takeout, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm grading it on the Tubi curve like it's a Tubi original, but I don't know if you've seen it or seen it advertised. It's
No.
like I'm guessing very inexpensive, single location. It's got the cutesy little title Takeout. It's in this like all night diner, serial killer situation in one location, but it was really fun.
Okay.
I thought it used the location pretty well, and like the key performance was good enough, and it was just a really fun time. Like I would not have expected a Tubi movie to like. I'm not saying new generational late night classic or whatever, but
Yeah.
I was impressed with how fun it was.
Well, I've surprisingly never gotten onto Tubi before. I've always
Yeah,
meant
it's
to
the
because I
best.
everyone tells me that is where, I mean, you can watch almost anything, but I'd really need to get into my Tubi movies for sure.
Yeah, Canopy, Hoopla, Tubi, all the free sites. I mean, I'm on Shutter, I'm on Criterion, but a lot of the free ones really do bring it. So if I ever had to cancel everything, Tubi and Canopy are also serious bangers.
Yeah. Are the transfers pretty good? You would say because I struggle
So
with
that's the other
Prime
thing about
Video.
Tubi. Prime sucks.
Yeah,
They're $1 trillion company. Their
Mhm.
streaming sucks. Tubi, particular, lately, I don't know if you've gotten any Deaf Crocodile editions from that Blu-ray company, like particularly with Deaf Crocodile and Radiance. As soon as it feels like they get their restorations accomplished, like finished or licensed or whatever, Tubi gets them, and they're like top of the line. There was an animated movie I started the other day, and it started with the Deaf Crocodile logo, and it looked incredible, like streaming
Okay.
on Tubi for free. There are ad breaks, they're annoying, and if you're watching on a mobile device, sometimes you can skip them by closing out the window and opening it back up. But if you're watching on a TV, you gotta sit through some ads. But
Yeah,
it's great and it's
it's
free,
pretty
and the
good. Yeah,
transfers are amazing.
I would mean I've been talking with someone. We need to bring back commercial breaks for things sometimes. So
I'm
I
fine with
might
that.
it might be good for me to get on Tubi and do that.
So those that's what I got. Derek, so where we didn't talk about your I mean we talked a little bit about your stuff. Where can people find you? What would you say you're looking that like you're proud of that you're working on that you want to build? How can we send people over to support you?
Yeah, I appreciate just being here. I am mostly on TikTok and Instagram at simi.views at simi.views. I also have a website at simiviews.com as well. And what I'm working on right now is just continuing to be consistent on social media. So just supporting on TikTok, Instagram. I'm trying to get to some film festivals. And so trying to slowly apply to some. I actually got to cover Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas. I'm based in Texas. So that was really
Nice. Yeah, I was
fun,
just gonna say, where
especially,
are you? Okay.
yeah. So just speaking of genre films, there's a lot of great genre films that I got to see there, but wanting to expand to maybe seeing bigger festivals and just continuing to create content, connecting with people online. I'm getting to meet up with some people um, that I've met online that create content as well about movies. So it's been really cool to just see the journey that content creation has taken, but also taking more of a educational route. And so I've been working on myself, reading and studying film critics and film history, and also wanting to. I have a couple things on my channels just talking about film history at large, and so wanting to do that as well because I love film and I love cinema and love how it connects to the real world and how we can apply that to our current context.
I love it. Maybe we can talk more off the air, but I would say they've just started taking applications for filmmakers to get their films in. But here in Kansas City, we have Panic Fest, which is one of the biggest genre festivals that there is. You should apply to press cover that when I don't know if it's going to be like, because I mean, yeah, it happens early in the year, maybe December, January that goes out. But you should keep your eye on Panic Fest and come to
Panifest.
Kansas City and get a beer, hang out, see some movies.
Yeah. No, that'd be awesome. I've not been to Kansas City, so I'm looking at as many film festivals as possible to try to apply for.
There's a strong genre like presence here in Kansas City. Panic Fest is one of I know the country's biggest genre festivals, and then I know Etheria is the female created short horror festival is based here and kicks off here every year. That's always a fun one too.
Okay. Etheria and Panic Fest, perfect.
Oh, well, great, man. Great to have you. It's always great to build. Like, I always do try to get on like longtime critics and filmmakers on the show, but I also love getting on like people like you, like people who are trying to get into it, who love it, who are enthusiasts, who are on their own film journeys and trying to grow their circles and bring people along. Like, it's such an amazing art form with so much to say and so much power. And I think it's always a good time to be into film. But I think people who are in the either film critics or like film advocacy world, there's a lot of good we can do in the world with it. So glad to know you and have you on, and look forward to engaging in the future, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I mean, I've gotten to connect with a lot of people, and everyone is so inviting. I've gotten to connect with people. I mean, guests that you've had from Marta McFly and
She rocks. I just
Mitchell,
was texting
editor
her
of
because she
Letterboxd.
put me on to the cat, and so I went to pre-order it immediately, and then Barnes& and Noble canceled my pre-order. So I just texted her
Uh,
last night. I was like, "I got it here. I'm gonna watch it right away."
no, when you were mentioning it, I was trying to figure out who had talked about it, and literally Marta was the person that came to mind. She's been a big inspiration in my own content creation journey. So it's cool to be on the same podcast and talk about movies that she's been on, and even Mitchell, who's a Letterbox editor. I actually have a movie from him, Thieves Like Us, that he wrote an introduction for, and
I'm so pumped. Mitchell has that's what on my goal sheet to like get into some special features. Mitchell has been crushing it lately.
yeah,
I'm
he's
really proud of them, and I, it's just been so cool to see. I think one of these zines, I think it was maybe the new Vincent or Cinematograph one. They've got a nice piece in too. But yeah, it's such a cool, exciting little world we have, and yeah, man, glad to have you on.
thank you, Philip.
So there you go. That was my conversation with Derrick on John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. Two masters of horror here, back to back. George Romero and John Carpenter both back on the show for the second time. We should cover more. Listeners, if you want to hear more, I don't want to only cover spooky stuff on spooky season, but it would be very easy to because there's so much interesting things happening in horror to do it all the time. But if there are specific things you'd like to hear more of on the substance or hear sooner, let us know. Send us an email to thesubstancepod@gmail.com. You can either send us an email or record a voice note on your phone. Send that over. We've had people do that in the past. Sometimes we'll put it on the show if we have the time. So that's the way to contact us. Let us know what you think, what you'd like to hear more of in the future. The very best way to support the show is by listening and sharing it with your friends. Who do you know that likes John Carpenter, maybe hasn't seen In the Mouth of Madness, or they won't shut up. They always try to tell people to go check it out. Send this to them. Maybe somebody who got the new 4K and loved it. Send this to them. Say, hey, great conversation. It's a really great way to let other people know about the show. If you want to go the extra mile and you really love us, or you just want to support independent folks trying to make good things, you can give us a couple bucks in the tip jar over at Cash App, $ the Substance Pod. It's always nice when people drop a couple bucks. You can give whatever you like. I know things are challenging right now, and I mean, donate to your local food pantries before you donate to us. But if you have a couple dollars, where there's plenty of things that we're trying to do here at The Substance, if you want to be a part of that, we appreciate everybody who does that. And last reminder, I know I don't say this enough. I should have said this at the very top. I need to say this more on social media. If you are watching along and logging these films on Letterboxd, you can use the tag and follow Substantive Cinema. I know we have some listeners who do that. Our guests who are regular Letterboxd users also do that. So look for you can search the tag on Letterboxd, Substantive Cinema. And find reviews of people who have interacted with the show, or as you are going back watching through the library, there'll be a link in the show notes of all the films we've covered on Substantive Cinema episodes. Or if you think a movie's particularly substantive and you want to share it with the community, you can tag your reviews on Letterboxd, Substantive Cinema. So we're planning on having the next episode, whether it's a feed drop or one last spooky one to tie in with the month, next Monday. So trying to get back on the schedule of 2 or 3 a month instead of 1. So you can look for that this coming Monday in your feed. And until then, I've been your host, Philip Marinello, saying thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on The Substance.